Let me tell you what I believe.
I believe there's a hero in all of us.
There's something inside that they can't get to, that they can't touch.
Luminous being, so not this crude matter.
Death is just another path, one that we all must take.
Somewhere out there, you have another father, too, who gave you another name. And he sent you here for a reason, Clark.
You don't owe these people anymore. You've given them everything.
Not everything. Not yet.
What we do in life echoes in eternity.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Directed by God, the show where we take a look at modern movies, old movies, stories, movies that we like, and we try to find the spiritual truth at the center of it and see what all we can uncover as we discuss. I am joined here today by two very special people. If you want to introduce yourselves.
I'm special.
My name is Reagan. My call sign is Clipper, because I just clip in the mic.
Dang call signs.
Yep.
Amazing.
I'm Seth. They call me Low Energy Jeb.
That's
my call sign.
I love it.
My call sign is not Bible Nathan.
Oh, very good, very good. Excellent.
For those of
He's
us
back.
who have seen previous episodes.
True fans.
So, to start us off today, we're talking about Top Gun Maverick. We are going to just give a quick plot overview. So we know there's going to be jets, there's going to be Tom Cruise, but what actually is happening as we're picking up in the sequel to our original Top Gun?
I think I get what you're putting down. You want a plot synopsis?
Yes, I would love some plots. Give me the plot.
I don't think I'm qualified, however, I'm going to do it. All right, Top Gun Maverick picks up an indeterminate amount of years after the first. Tom Cruise is starting to sag a little bit, but he still looks good. Anyway, the world of aviation has changed. Where before, a simple game of volleyball would hold together the United States. Now, the drones are taking over the skies. And so, the very beginning of the film, Tom Cruise is testing this legendarily fast plane. Moving
Spaceship?
Project Black Star. I think that's what it's called.
And so he is still pursuing his old ways of tinkering and testing and just wanting to be the fast he can be.
Always pushing.
Always
a little,
pushing.
A little further. Never enough.
Always with him, which cannot be done. Anyway, he is testing this plane, and there's kind of this opening situation that kind of foregrounds the fact that he is the last of a dying breed in this guy's eyes. As he's about to be fired for breaking...
Disobeying direct orders.
Disobeying a direct order from Ed Helms. A very scary man.
Not Ed Helms. What is his name?
Ed Harris.
Ed Harris.
He is an Ed and H, thank you. He is sent back to Top Gun. And even though the last film, Top Gun, concluded with him wanting to be an instructor, it turns out he was horrible at it. And he went away and did his own thing, but now he's being called back to help teach this insanely intense mission. The twist, however, is that Goose's son, Rooster, is among the people he has to teach. So the film is him trying to deal with his own pride, but also teaching and reconnecting to his son figure, Rooster, and go take out the Iranians, maybe, or the Chinese, whoever they are. Anyway.
Yeah, do they ever specify who the enemy force is? Very, very vague.
They don't.
The enemy.
Anyway.
It's like the first film.
That was only somewhat competent. Anything I should also say about the plot of this film?
No, I think you nailed it.
Very
you got this kind of, lone gunman, adrenaline junkie of Tom Cruise, who's always the best fighter pilot he can be, and now he has to learn how to be a teacher.
Yeah.
The daunting task of, I'm no longer the one in the cockpit, now I have to help everybody else be their best and bring them up, which is a new story.
Something he's avoided. Amazingly, for the past 30 years.
It is really strange because it seems like he wanted to be that after the Top Gun. The first movie ends with him saying, I think I'll be a teacher.
Well,
and then you get the line, he was there for 2 months.
With all due respect, sir, I'm not a teacher. Just want to manage expectations.
You gotta make a movie somehow.
Exactly, but it's just interesting. It's like, okay, he had that impulse to teach, but he couldn't do it. But now he's He's having to come back. So the movie really is picking up where he left off in a spiritual way,
Yes.
from a certain point of view.
He's finally matured to the place of being able
Ready to
to
be
step
that
into this new
instructor.
season.
Now, this movie has some weird release things, so we had a lot of time to anticipate and to hope for it. What were your thoughts leading up to it?
Well, I had never actually seen the first Top Gun, so my only hype was really coming from the fact that I love the Mission Impossible movies. I know Tom Cruise does stunts like no one else does stunts. And the trailer just felt so visceral and so real, like they're really in these jets. Everything Tom Cruise does is just so real. Just like his character, he's always pushing the limit with what film can do. And I was just excited to see what looked like a movie that had been filmed in a way I had never seen.
Yeah.
And so I was really excited about it for that reason, even though I knew very little about the story. It had been out for about a week, and I hadn't seen it, and I was like, well, I guess I'll
And
I
you
guess
were
I'll go.
bullied by callsign Clipper and callsign Low Energy Jeb to watch it because you were
I think
not
I'm just
watching
call
it.
sign Jeb.
Callsign Jeb.
I'm just Jeb.
Okay, cool. You've lost low energy. You're getting some energy. I like that. Very good.
No, it's just too
It's
long.
implied.
It's just too long.
That's right. But by the time you're saying that in the air, you'd be killed.
Yeah.
Anyway, cool.
But yeah, really, and my parents saw it too. My dad was dying to see it because he likes the first one, and my parents both really loved it. I think the first time my mom was so like anxious about all of like who's gonna die and what's happening.
wow.
I think it was really cool for her the second time after she knew it was gonna happen and she wasn't as stressed out. She was like, "This movie is just amazing," and my dad loved it. I went to see it with them, and my sister was in town.
Isn't your dad a former adrenaline junkie?
Yeah, he used to race motorcycles through the woods and other things.
He still mountain bikes.
Yeah, he still mountain
Drag
bikes.
races.
He
Fighter
used to
jets.
do some drag racing
Same
back in the day, many decades ago.
Awesome.
But it was a blast.
He understood the thrill-seeking
The need for speed.
elderly man having to settle down.
Yeah, yes,
He watched that one. Oh, God.
100%.
He looked over and he
man.
just had a lone tear in his eye
One tear.
as he watched the film with you.
And then he just whispered, "Talk to me, Goose."
Yeah, it was awesome. I went in expecting to like it and not to love it, and it's like the classiest, most thrilling, down to earth, like human movie I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
That's awesome. Yeah, I had a similar experience. This movie was supposed to come out in 2020. It was a COVID film, so 2 years delayed, which really sucked. I have a good friend, and he doesn't go out to see movies ever, so he just doesn't really like them. And but he promised me he wanted to see Top Gun so bad. It's one of his favorite movies. He wanted to see the sequel really bad. But we had to wait 2 years to see it, and so it was, for me, it was just a really fun thing to do with a friend, and he loves aviation, so he was like, "Oh yeah, that jet's accurate. Yeah, that's
Is
very
Michael?
good." Yeah. And at the end, he goes, "Yeah, the drones probably could have been better at this mission." And so anyway, we had a great time watching it. He brought earplugs because we watched IMAX and it was so loud, but it was
Wow.
it was incredible. Anyway, and I watched it again, and I definitely didn't have a lot of familiarity with the original film. I think I saw it as a kid, but then the night before I went to go see the new one, I watched the first one again, and it was just mind blowing, and just epic. And just to me, I just loved how it was shot. It just looked like a cool movie. And so the sequel was also, I was looking to see if they would also, because you watch the first movie and you go, is this real? It has to all be real because you can't take a jet back then. They didn't know how. Where today it's like, wow, the fact that they were able to bring that level of realism, I was just blown away by it. And I haven't had anybody dislike this movie to my face. Everybody's loved it.
Only behind your back.
Only behind my back. They whisper it.
I read somewhere that there was like 800 hours of footage to comb through from just all the jet stuff because it was all the actors in the secondary spots of the planes filming themselves because there was no room to have a camera.
They're actually
in the jet
themselves,
with
too.
them. Mm-hmm. So it's just awesome.
Yeah, it's
Nothing
insane.
like it.
All right, Jeb, what you got? What you got?
I was not really looking forward to this movie that much. I don't know why.
What?
But at first, anyway, because it was one of those, we've gotten so many unnecessary sequels over the years. And I just remember thinking, Top Gun, another Top Gun. That can't be good. That probably won't be good. And I've always loved Top Gun. Top Gun was one of the first movies I really loved as a kid. I remember watching the VHS tape. And I remember once even, I was with someone and we didn't have the VHS tape that day. So then they said, we can just play Top Gun. And I said, no, I don't want to.
What does that mean? Play Top Gun.
Just pretend.
Ooh, you weren't into that.
No.
Not a big pretender. Very good.
But I love the original Top Gun, and I've always loved the soundtrack. And as I grew up, I realized this movie's actually shot really well. It's actually a really well-made film. But anyway, somewhere in the delay And sometime around this year, I started going, no, this movie actually looks really good. And probably because, Reagan, you were so excited for it. And I just thought, no, this could be really good. Especially started thinking about the most recent Mission Impossible, which was just so good as well. And then I think started to hear just early reviews that everybody was loving this movie.
Mm-hmm.
It was awesome.
All people, all tribes, all backgrounds, all faiths.
I loved it. This movie ended up dealing with the generational cinematic sin of unnecessary sequels somehow, because it was, so many movies, so many unnecessary sequels will reset characters or undo character development that was done. Mm-hmm. You've seen it too many times, really. We've been hurt by it so many times. But this movie, Top Gun, you would not have expected. I would not have expected Top Gun to be the movie to say, no, this actually is a strong continuation of the story. We're not going to reset the character, and we're gonna have lots of Star Wars references too.
Oh my gosh, I have so many. I mean, this film is just crazy because at some points it feels like a remake of Top Gun, but then it's like no, there's a new perspective. The character's providing a new perspective on it, and it's just playing with that idea of the remake. It's just so cool. And I wanted to go see it 2 weeks after it came out with a friend Sunday night, and it was sold out. It was still sold out, and that was just normal. That was a normal screening, and so I've never seen a movie be that big. I mean, it had a huge opening. I think apparently it was Tom Cruise's biggest opening.
It's
ever.
Probably going to be. We're recording this just before 4th of July.
Oh,
it's probably going to be huge this week too.
If it came back out not for IMAX for this weekend, that'd be insane. That'd be amazing.
Especially coming out of post-COVID, it's been 2 years, and I think that between this and Jurassic, we're finally getting a summer with blockbusters again that are worth going to.
Christopher Nolan's Tenet was supposed to be the one that brought us back, but it was actually Top Gun.
That movie was weird.
Weird and confusing.
Yeah. Top Gun not confusing.
Top Gun not confusing.
Very easy to follow.
Very simple.
Let's go back to the perspective thing a little bit, though, because I love what you were saying about it has these elements of there's still a mission, there's still planes. There is that Maverick character still, but Maverick is no longer playing that role. Maverick is in the mentor role, and it's his perspective, not Rooster's. Yeah. So how does it play with that idea of the teacher and the student and moving us forward?
It's just crazy because it's like if you remade A New Hope, but then it was just from Obi-Wan's perspective. And it's just so rich because of that. And there's just times where you see Maverick looking at Hangman. Hangman's kind of this young hotshot who's clearly in the mold of Maverick in the first film, and it's really cool because you can just see he's never tempted to be that. He still has his own pride issues, but it's a different stage of life, and so you see Hangman, you kind of go, okay, he's conquered this version of himself.
He's an adult,
but it's always a reminder of what he was, and it's always a foil against him and Rooster, and that's just really cool. And the romance is also mature. And I remember talking to you about it. I was like, I didn't really understand what Rooster was going through, and you're like, it's called Top Gun Maverick, which is a very good Jeb-like comment, I thought. Anyway, but it was true. I just went, no, this movie is all about Maverick and the father-son relationship between him and Rooster, and so that was just cool. So, and there's a lot of scenes that are they are remakes or reimaginings, where it's like, okay, now Tom Cruise is the instructor who gets made fun of at the bar or humiliated at the bar, and then the next day he surprises his students with being the instructor. So you get these scenes, and then of course you've got the opening is exactly the same as the original one, more or less, and then you've got a big sports scene that brings everybody together. So you have these moments, but they always feel original still, which is just really impressive.
Usually they're a little bit different.
Yep.
Because the volleyball scene in the original the point of that scene is more Maverick leaving Goose to go be with a girl. Yeah. Never leave your wingman. Which he does. Mm-hmm. But then he
dies in the next scene. In a tragic volleyball accident. Volleyball directly to the head. 3 surgeons cannot save him.
Massive concussion. But in this, in the new one, it's a little bit different, where it's a team building exercise.
Yes.
Which it was not in the original.
And also, it's just you were the one who told me this, but there's just this genius thing where it's like if you did it, it's like there's also a genre shift happening too, which makes it feel new. So the original film, I think you said it really well. It's like a sports movie. Yeah. It's like they're just competing to be the best Top Gunner or whatever. And by the end, there's like, oh, well, there's a mission that tests the resolve of you. Good job. Where in this film, from the very beginning, it's an action film. It's a mission. There's a mission. You have to complete it. It's a drama in a lot of ways too. Mm-hmm. And so it's just from the very beginning, I feel like I'm being teed up, and I understand the stakes. I understand why they can't fly above the valley. I understand the turrets. I understand 5th generation fighters. I understand everything. I achieved a high level of knowledge, and just when you have the actual level, you actually have that anticipation the whole time of we're going in. At one point, Hangman says,
"We're going into combat on a level no living pilot's ever seen. Not even him."
And it's just really cool. It's just the whole time. It's an action.
It's they do the Death Star mission scene 3 or 4 times.
Yeah. It's awesome. It's just really cool. And we'll get to the actual trench run that happens later, probably.
My wife also really loved the simplicity of the story. That it wasn't just, a billion plot threads and a billion directions. It's like there's a team. The team trains.
Yep.
Awesome training montage. Training stuff is some of my favorite. Whether it's X-Men First Class or Kingsman or this movie, just you got a team. You train the team. You do the mission. You win the mission.
Kind of more of a heist movie in that way.
It's just like a straightforward. You plan it. You execute it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
the
Ocean's
first
11.
Film, they were competing, and you're just kind of like, but why? With this film, it's like, okay,
the best.
Exactly. There's some competition. Your name on a trophy. That's all it was. It was kind of lame. Anyway, this film, it's there's a nuclear bomb they're building.
There's stakes.
Exactly.
They're clear stakes.
There's a time crunch the whole time. 3 weeks. Now it's 2 weeks for some reason.
Who was building it?
Also, just the team behind it. I mean, we've talked about the dedication of people like Tom Cruise and Miles Teller in the past, but you have McQuarrie, who worked on the Mission Impossible movies. He has a writing credit on this. Yeah. Joseph Kosinski, who directed it, also directed Tron Legacy, another very rich spiritual
awesome
film.
With a father-son relationship.
With a father-son
relationship.
Animates
it.
Mm-hmm.
The movie's really the son movie, isn't it? Mm-hmm. In some ways. This is the father movie.
Before we move on to what we think the movie's saying, I just have to bring up the fact that Val Kilmer, to honor him in this way, was so cool. I found it very moving that here's an actor who was in the first one, who Tom Cruise really wanted to have a chance to be in this one.
Didn't he say he wouldn't do it if he couldn't be in it? If I read that somewhere.
I don't know to what extent. I would not be surprised. But in real life, Val Kilmer actually has throat cancer.
He has throat cancer.
So for the fact that in the film they give him a similar illness, and it's this chance to just kind of honor him as an actor and his legacy in the franchise, and that scene is one of the best in the film. It's so moving.
Oh yeah.
And I was so glad that they didn't just recast him, that they really they did not cut corners at all in this movie.
I remember the first time where he's reading a text message, I just go, why are they doing this? And it's like, oh, the cancer came back. He cannot speak. And I went, whoa.
Then you felt bad.
Then I felt bad. Then I cried. Then he dies next scene.
You repented that
anyway,
moment.
And that scene also showed just the range of Tom Cruise too, because I just remember, look, Val Kilmer, he just can't do a whole lot. And so Tom Cruise, he the whole brunt of the emoting in that movie, in that scene, is coming from him, and he just turns on that dime when he needs to. It's a good movie. Overall,
Incredible
great movie. Yep.
So what is this incredible movie actually saying?
Here we go. In 3, 2, 1.
Time to let go.
Time to let go.
Say more about that.
That's what the computer screen said.
I was remembering that today, and I just went, I don't think I can quite put into words what that means. So you try.
Okay.
Please.
Well,
I'll vote for you for president.
Well, Maverick is, like we said, Maverick is still the thrill seeker, still pushing forward. And Iceman tells him, it's time to let go, dude. And then Maverick says, I don't know how. So I think he's clutching on to life. He's clutching on to protect Bradley, a.k.a. Rooster.
Okay.
At the end, he just, the final battle, he just says, it's time to put my life down, or it's time to let Bradley spread his wings even if he's going to die. Mm-hmm. It's time to just let go of my old life and move on to something else. I think he's holding on to his life and identity as a fighter pilot so much that he cannot quite progress to the next stage. That mentor, father, parent role, that stage in his life.
What's happening in the movie because when he first goes to Top Gun, you've got John Hamm's character laying on the mission. He goes, oh, well, I'm ready to start flying. They say, we actually want you to teach it. He goes, But by the end of the movie, he's on the mission.
Yeah.
And he only got to that place because he was willing to lay it all down in order to prove that the mission could be flyable and save
lay
people's
down
lives.
your life to get it.
Yeah. So even though he ends up still flying the mission, the way he got there was he put everything on the line.
Yes.
To show people that it's doable and they could survive. So there was a question at the beginning. I did answer it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
He laid it down on the altar and got it back.
I got it right back.
As long as you're satisfied.
That's a very Christian idea. Lay your life down, you'll pick it back up. Just kidding.
That's
We'll
kind of what Jesus says in that
there.
passage.
We'll get there. Awesome.
And one other thing that really stood out to me that you mentioned in your plot synopsis was just at the very beginning you have this comparison of pilot in the box versus drone automated.
Yep.
And it just made me think of the production of the movie of like, is this, we're going to do it for real, we're going to make this down to earth, like the Tom Cruise way of making movies. Is Tom Cruise the action Hollywood star? Is he the last of his breed? Is this kind of like, because you can think Mission Impossible, you can think Top Gun, how many other movies like this movie are coming out?
Zero.
So it's like, it's also, I don't know whether it's meant to be, but it's kind of a meta commentary on just like, we're going to hang around as long as we can, even if we're a dying breed.
Wow.
See that?
I didn't think about it that way. That's awesome. That's great. That's really cool. Definitely.
Well, he will raise up a new generation.
Yep. And now he can teach the future.
God will raise up stones to be his children,
Stones.
if needed.
I've noticed your movies down there are getting quite boring and self-indulgent. Here are some stones. I also there's a lot of this movie about commitment too, and a father reaching out to his son, because Brewster's not really his son, but he is in a spiritual way, and because it's just cool because the whole time the son is kicking against him. I just remember the first scene where he's trying to reach out to Rooster, and he's just trying to get his attention. He's just trying to calmly say, "Hey, can we talk?" And Rooster just won't have it, and so just the humility of the father to reach the son, and the necessity of the father role in one's life spiritually, literally. You have "Talk to Me, Goose," as a spiritual thing in the cockpit, and you've got "Talk to Me, Dad." So just that father role, just the necessity of that, and also being willing to step into that for someone else is cool too. Mm-hmm. As a type and shadow of Christ.
Yes.
For sure.
It was epic. It's what made the movie.
Yes.
And we mentioned it with the simplicity of the plot, but I also just love that there's like no ambiguity morally in this movie at all. There's a mission. The mission's a good thing. We're going to execute the mission, and we're going to save as many lives as possible while we do it. It's just very straightforward. We have a goal. It's a good goal. We're good people. There's not this like, do I trust in the government or the mission? It's just, it's about people doing their best.
Not cynical whatsoever.
Yeah.
Very hard on its sleeve.
I'm going to push back just a little bit. You're definitely right that there's not the cynicism of questioning the government. But I do think there's an old guard versus new guard kind of thing with John Hamm.
Captain Pete Maverick Mitchell. Let me be perfectly blunt. You are not my first choice. You are here at the request of Admiral Kazansky, a.k.a. Iceman. He seems to think that you have something left to offer the Navy. What that is, I can't imagine.
There is some nuance to it.
There's a little nuance where John Hamm is not, Iceman says the Navy needs Maverick because the Navy's going down a path and Iceman's going, no, we need heroism. We still need heroes.
Maverick.
Yeah, so
That's great.
little subtlety to it, I would say.
Absolutely.
John Hamm is whatever Tom Cruise needs him to be in that scene. Every scene.
Every scene.
Every scene. And then just back to the theme of commitment, you've got this romance, and just as he's starting to realize I can't keep running away, I have to let go of that side of myself. Can I actually commit to somebody? Can I actually, there's that great part at the window where he says, I'm not leaving. I'm not going to leave you. And he does leave, but for good cause.
Falls out the window.
He comes back. Falls out the window. He breaks his hip. He can't fly ever again. It was a horrible accident.
Grounded.
Yeah, it wasn't just like a no promises kind of thing. It's like I have made a decision to enter into a commitment that I'm going to stick to. That's awesome.
Anyway, we were saying a lot of good stuff. What about the Bible?
Time for the Bible. Get them out, boys. The Bible case has been
Bible's been
unzipped.
opened.
My Bible is digital today.
Highlighters are ready. Do they bleed through the page?
They don't. They're incredible.
Good.
It's actually really nice.
As it should.
But anyway,
Actually, my grandma got him, and then I gave him to Reagan.
interesting. Does your grandma know?
No.
I'm gonna tell her.
She doesn't know who you are.
Okay. Yeah, she does. Anyway, Bible. Nathan, you're the not Bible person, but maybe this time you can redeem yourself. Go first.
The first biblical theme I think I want to talk about I'll start with just because I think it's at the very beginning of the movie. It just comes up over and over and over again, and that would be self-sacrifice. Then the very, very first scene, when he's in the big black star jet, the reason he's going is he's risking his whole career. He's risking things personal to himself. But he says, I know what'll happen to all these other people and their jobs and their livelihoods if I don't.
That detail, yeah.
And then later on, you see Rooster in the training exercise. He sacrifices himself to save his, the other plane that's with him in their little pair exercise. Mav, of course, when the stakes are real, he gets shot down trying to rescue Rooster. He lays himself down. And then Rooster repays the favor to save him later. Over and over, there's this idea of, laying yourself down, your self-interest, your own motives, your life even, to help someone else.
A lot of laying down.
A lot of laying down in the air.
Very lazy.
So now will you pivot to the Bible?
So the Bible verse that would show that is in John 15:13, and it says, "Greater love has no one than this, that someone lay down his life for his friends."
That's really good. Let it be known to the Directed by God stenographer that is also my first verse. And there was a brief discussion about who would say it. And
I was going to let you, and then you
I did
cued
pass
me.
to you.
You
But
cued me.
that one's really good. That movie, that theme of self-sacrifice, like you said, just all over the film. And it's really cool. And even Rooster gets to a place where
I wrote it down too.
It was a triple threat.
Good job. Good job, Jeb. Even Rooster gets to a place where he's self-sacrificing. So it's just really cool that the father and son both get there. I really like that. Yeah, good Bible stuff. Good.
Not to Bible overload, but there's also a few more verses that give a similar idea that I think are cool.
All right.
In Philippians 2:3-4, it says, "Do nothing from rivalry or conceit." First one's got a lot of rivalry.
Yes.
But in humility, count others more significant than yourselves.
Oh, yeah.
Let each of you look not only to his own interests, but also to the interests of others.
Yeah.
That's a great one.
And I think you see Hangman do that in this film.
Absolutely. And the verse goes on to talk about how the image of that kind of perfected is Christ, giving up his life. So just like your self-sacrifice thing, it's just awesome. Similar in a vein to humility. We said this on the Rocky one, I think, but James 4:6. Therefore it says, God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble.
Yeah.
Because Hangman in this movie, he's not the protagonist, and there's definitely times in the first Top Gun where I go, oh, Tom Cruise, he's being a little extra here. He's definitely prideful, but you're kind of with him. He does get humbled. Where Hangman, he's a bit more distant from the protagonist, and it's just this cool meta thing. But he is the proud character. He is the prideful character, and at the very end, he gets a chance to be redeemed and find the mission. But you get the sense that his pride often gets in the way. I think of like him versus Bob.
Yeah.
The proud and the humble. Just a really clear contrast between those two characters. That's all over the scriptures.
I got something no one else got, probably.
Ooh, let's see.
Psalm 68.
Ooh, nope.
Really?
Don't have it.
A father to the fatherless, a defender of widows, is God in his holy dwelling. God sets the lonely in families.
So good.
That's cool.
That's what happens.
Beautiful.
That's a thing. That's a recurring thing in the Bible. God being a champion of orphans and widows. And that's you said it earlier, but Maverick is the spiritual father to Goose. Not his blood father, spiritual father. He and Rooster are tied together by the memory of Goose. Mm-hmm. But, God created a father and son there that no one else wanted to see. But he said, this is better. Mm-hmm. I got a plan here.
Almost like the theme of adoption, perhaps.
Yes.
So in the New Testament,
as we are adopted sons.
Excuse me. It's my turn now.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Galatians 4:6-7. And because you are sons, God has sent his spirit of his sons into our hearts, crying, Abba, Father. You are no longer a slave, but a son. And if a son, then heir through God. Really cool. Yes. And then I think there was the Romans one literally said the adoption language. So that's just really cool. That is like what you said earlier. That is the film.
That is the film.
And very Bible. Very, very Bible.
And I love at the end, too, where it's not even just this father-son of Maverick and Rooster, but through the romance subplot, you also have, at the very end, the daughter and the love interest walk into the hangar as well. So you have this single mom, and you have Rooster, and this family of four who are were wayward and lonely and didn't have a family, God set the lonely in families, which is awesome. And earlier at one point, they even use it as an insult against Maverick of like, you don't even have anyone to mourn you. You don't have a kid.
That's
you don't
Rooster.
have...
Does Rooster say that?
I think he does. And then in the end,
Like,
you
dude,
realize...
you're his son.
Yeah, like this, you are the family.
Yeah.
Rooster's
You will mourn.
very much prodigal son. Hates his dad.
Yep.
He's got to accept, yeah, that's my dad. The great character moment for him where he really turns is he realized my dad would not want Mav to die. The love my dad had for Mav meant something, so I should love him too.
Yeah. And he flies with him. Just epic. Give him his wingman. Similar to the father thing, just a bit more on the practical side. Very practical podcast. Ephesians 6, 1-4. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor your father and mother. This is the first commandment with a promise.
Rooster didn't do that.
Didn't do that. That it may go well with you, that you may live long in the land. And then you got Tom Cruise's side. Fathers, do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. Because there is a rift in this relationship. You know, there's this idea that his mom, Rooster's mom, didn't ever want him to go into the Navy. Didn't want him ever to fly again because he was so afraid. And so he took that upon himself. Mm-hmm. And I really was taken in the film that Tom Cruise never really gets angry with Rooster. Mm-hmm. He might get angry at him for not There's definitely times where he gets frustrated because...
Well, there's that incredible scene where he has every right to get angry. He just bottles it up. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about?
Not exactly. Please say more. I need more.
It is after one of the other pilots crashes, and he comes to console. It's the reference to the Viper scene in the first one, where Viper says the first one's hard, but there will be more. Yeah. And Tom Cruise is in the Viper role now, and he says, "You almost lost a wingman today, and there will be other times when this happens." And Rooster, who's just wants to hurt Maverick, he says, "You would know a lot about that, wouldn't you?" And the incredible moment where the mature man just bottles it up. He goes, "I could just destroy you right now. I'm not going to."
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, and yeah. There's so much hurt.
It's in the Bible somewhere.
Yeah,
I did not destroy my son.
Abraham and Isaac. Beautiful. Just a really cool story, and it's just really cool seeing him as a father just take it time and time again, and it does work. And because Rooster himself, he is dealing. What is it that Rooster is thinking about too much in the cockpit? He says, don't think up there, you're dead. What is holding him back? Is it the father relationship that he hasn't healed yet?
Well, yeah, I think he's always trying to prove himself, like Anakin.
Yeah. So Tom Cruise is
there's that amazing push-up sequence. Right. It's really sad, but he just keeps going. Hondo says, "Dude, that's enough."
He just walks away.
That's really good. He's trying to prove something.
He's able to be a father and never take it beyond the discipline of a father that takes. He will not hold back when he's messing up flying, but he doesn't hurt him.
But he's also he's clearly an imperfect dad. Oh yeah, because Rooster, they don't have a good relationship.
They haven't talked in years. So.
Yeah. What does he say? He pulls his papers from the academy, sets his career back, years. Mm-hmm. That was not a good thing to do. We understand why he did it.
His mom wanted him to.
We understand why he did it, but at the end of the day, he did not trust Rooster. And you've got to trust your children.
Well, you got to remember, at the end he said, "You're not ready."
I know.
You got to remember.
I remember. But also, I think that's also more about Maverick not wanting to go through loss again.
He doesn't let go. Yeah, it's true. Mm-hmm. But also, there's something really cool in there where even though he's doing that, the mom is the one who wanted it, but then he says, "I didn't tell him that. I'm taking this all upon myself." Mm-hmm. So even he's just a very complex father figure. He's really good, and there's just a lot of Christ happening in that. Just awesome.
And the fact that it's not only the prodigal son of him returning, but there's another very biblical idea. There's this kind of forgiveness that needs to happen, where Rooster not only is just accepting that this dad figure wants to mentor him, but he has a vendetta against this man who pulled his papers and set his career back. And he has to, at some point, realize, like, this is another person that I love and I need in my life, and I have to let go of these things and actually forgive him. And then on the other hand, you have Maverick, who I think is making a lot of decisions out of unforgiveness for himself because of what happened to Goose. And that's what's so powerful. We brought up the let go scene earlier with Iceman, where Maverick's like, "I don't think this kid is ever going to forgive me." And Iceman's like, "You got to give him time. You have to let go." And he's like, "I'm just a fighter pilot. It's all I am. It's all I'll ever be." And he's like, "Dude, you got to, the past is the past. Forgive yourself and step into what I'm asking you to do right now.
Iceman's God. In this movie.
Really? Wow. He is.
I have a job for you, dude. Come and do it.
Then he dies.
You have been called.
You've been called because Iceman's going. I have something.
Well, his foolish will shame the wise.
Well,
I'm not asking.
there's that, absolutely. You got to do what I tell you to do. But he says the Navy needs Maverick, the kid needs Maverick. The whole thing was orchestrated not to. It's almost like the whole story and the whole mission is concocted not really to destroy the nuclear facility, but to have this spiritual healing.
To make this family
Yeah,
come together.
right. Iceman can see that.
Of course, the secret prequel is Iceman secretly funded the Iranian government to create a situation.
And he's trying to cover.
Exactly.
He's trying to cover his tracks.
Exactly.
Iceman's the god, the father of the movie.
It's interesting hearing you talk about him being a prodigal son, because that the prodigal father figure. But now that we have the original film Top Gun, it makes sense that the father at one point he himself was probably a prodigal son. He himself was this probably a failable character
Maverick?
too. Yeah, just cool.
I think I agree. I'm not really sure what you said.
I guess I'm saying in the
though.
story of the prodigal son. Well, actually, the father is Jesus, so it doesn't really make sense anymore. When you take the prodigal son story and you make it human, the father himself was he might have also been a prodigal son.
Oh, sure,
well,
yeah,
which is cool.
yeah.
But that kind of doesn't really interface with
Brewster's
God
reliving
element.
Maverick.
Exactly.
Remember in Superman the movie, Jor-El says the son becomes the father becomes the son.
Incredible.
Which
it's Babel. We got to cover that movie next.
that's really good.
Today. Wow.
Yeah, I just rewatched that.
Awesome.
I had a interesting verse. This is in Matthew, Mark, and Luke, but it's when Mark 12. I don't know where it is in the others, but it's in all three. It's that story where the guys are asking Jesus about the resurrection. Jesus goes, have you not heard that God said, I am the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob? He's God of the dead, not of the living. You were quite wrong. They just made me think of Goose. Goose is still alive in both of them. It's like your dad's not dead, kid. Yeah. He's able to converse with him by using the Force at the end.
It's just awesome because that, obviously God does not make an appearance.
Also, Goose was a Christian. Let's not forget that.
I'm sorry.
We don't mourn as others mourn.
Goose, huh?
I'm sorry.
We don't mourn the way other people mourn.
Did Goose say that?
No, but there's just the verse about like if Goose is a Christian, then like Rooster is going to see him again one day.
Let's go back to Goose being a Christian.
Goose is a Christian. Goose is he wears a cross in Top Gun 1.
Rappers do that.
Goose was not a rapper, so
we're good.
But also, Meg Ryan jokes about, or maybe it's when Meg Ryan comes, but one of them jokes about Goose is getting up going to church on Sundays. Maverick's got a hangover and he's sleeping in with the girls or something like you're sneaking out of bed with the girls while Goose is going off to church.
Wow,
like so awesome. Goose is a Christian, and I like to think that the lowercase t on Rooster's helmet is meant to be a little cross.
It looks a lot like one.
Yeah, it's different from the other letters.
Incredible.
It's all uppercase. Except,
that's so cool.
Yeah,
but even if Goose is not God, let's just say that maybe he's not Jesus Christ incarnate.
Goose has joined the
Netherworld.
Goose has joined the Netherworld ancestral fatherly membrane that penetrates all men, which we shorthand for the Father.
The Father.
He's joined that.
Abba.
So like you got Jor-El, you got Qui-Gon Jinn, you got Kevin Costner and Man of Steel.
Yes, it's the Father.
Yeah, there's this father figure that like even though it's earthly and it's this vague kind of new age spiritual, it's filling in for God the Father.
Thomas Wayne.
Okay.
He's there too.
Awesome.
They're all there.
That's awesome.
There's like these kind of shadows of God the Father in these stories.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All good fathers have that in them, even though they're imperfect.
This movie literally has praying to the Father too, up in the fighter jet.
Talk to me, Goose.
Talk to me, Goose. Be with me, Goose.
So awesome. Goose is Maverick's father.
Let's move on. Let's move on while it's still good.
It's like even though it should be to God, not Goose, like it is this kind of beautiful picture of praying to the Father.
It's something.
It's epic.
Prayer's awesome.
Close. And it's so Star Wars. It's so... There's something to talk about A New Hope for a moment.
Please.
I don't know why, but it's only in A New Hope that you get the explicit, the Father's talking to you. Mm-hmm. It's only there where Obi-Wan is talking to Luke in the cockpit. And, they have this back and forth conversation. You don't see it in the others so much.
Obi-Wan also says, let go.
He does. Wow, let go.
Exactly.
It's awesome. It is awesome.
Don't think. your feelings
exactly.
will distract you.
There's something about, when you're in a flow state and you don't have to worry, like you're a musician, so you get that. This is mixing 21st century philosophy with Bible, but I think Star Wars and Top Gun are telling me using the Force is tapping into the Father. When you're not worried about anything, you're just doing
You're spiritually in tune.
Don't think, just do. Yeah, spiritually in tune. Yeah. Because someone's still guiding you there.
Yeah.
Not the computer.
Not the computer. Luke, you turn off your targeting computer.
I know.
Literally, in this movie, it's the radar is also broken.
It's great. I know, it's great.
Awesome. He fires blind. It's the same trench run.
It's amazing.
It makes me think of in Acts 28:27, just on this topic of like, don't think, just do. This kind of turn the computer off faith, for lack of a better term. It says, for this people's heart has become calloused. They hardly hear with their ears, and they have closed their eyes. Otherwise, they might see with their eyes and hear with their ears, understand with their hearts, and turn, and I would heal them.
That's an Acts?
That's an Acts. So there's this...
It's elsewhere, too.
There's this idea that...
It's quoting Isaiah, right?
I believe so. There's just this picture of, like... In Star Wars, he puts a visor over his eyes. So to anyone else, it's like, well, he can't see anything. And the spiritual truth is, when he covered his physical eyes and started seeing with his spiritual eyes and his heart eyes, that's when he was actually seeing. So even though Rooster is technically blind, when he let go of all the fear and all these other things and just said, God, you take over, I'm going to have faith in you, a magical thing happens and you have a sight and an instinct that on your own strength you could never have.
There's that incredible joke where Tom Cruise is mad at him. He goes, "Why did you come back? That was so stupid." He goes, "You told me not to think." What were you thinking? You told me not to think. And they edit it for, I noticed it the second time I saw it, they really edit it for a long laugh there.
And there always was one.
There always was, yeah, it's good.
And the music too, there's this beautiful, it's like the father's running to the son, it's the prodigal son. And the music swells, and the music hard cuts, and he punches him. So good.
That's so good. There's just a new creation there. It's just beautiful. And they fly the F-14 together.
Well, yeah, it is a new creation. Rooster has become Goose at that part. Because he's calling him Mav in the cockpit. That's what Goose called him. Just insane. And, that relationship is Maverick's the confident, cocky one, and Goose is sort of they call him Mother Goose. He's going, Mav, are we doing this? Okay, we're doing this. And Rooster has just become that. He's embodied the spirit of his father.
Awesome.
It is. It's great. It's like Father, Son, Holy Spirit. It's the Father and Son is clearly there. It's something about the jet. We're sitting in the jet together, so we have the same spirit.
The jet is the spirit.
The jet is the spirit. We're riding in it together.
I think you
bringing
said Holy
unity
Fighter
to the
jet.
body.
Yeah, exactly.
Father,
yes.
Son, Holy Fighter jet is what you said.
Yeah, yep.
Earlier.
The tale is old as
another
time.
way.
Tale as old as
That's awesome. This one is just kind of, meh. But just kind of as we think about the new creation and the pride and the old self, Galatians 5:17, for the desires of the flesh are against the spirit and are against the flesh, for they are opposed to each other to keep you from doing the things you want to do. It's not until Rooster taps into that stuff that he can access the spirit, and his desires, his emotions are all against Maverick, all against the Father, until he gives in, and then he just becomes a whole new person in the F-14. It's awesome.
And he's out of the element of control too.
Yeah.
When he's in the back seat and Mav's just doing stuff like, we're gonna gun it. He's like, Mav, what's going on? What are we doing? His hands are literally off the controls. It's just, Maverick, I'm in the cockpit with you, and wherever you lead, we're going. And I might freak out, but I'm gonna trust you.
I trust you. Yeah.
I
love the scene before they get, and they're walking across, and Mav is just. I've been both of these men in my life now, where Rooster's going, dude, there's guys over there. I don't want to do this. There are guys, and Mav's just going, yep. There are guys. We're going.
And he goes, let's run.
Let's
run.
It's really the young man, the old man, the mentor, and the student.
This is beautiful.
It's all true, all of it.
Similar to the father stuff earlier, 1 Timothy 5:1-2, do not rebuke an older man, but encourage him as you would a father. It goes on to say, young men as brothers, older women as mothers, younger women as sisters, in all purity. Do not rebuke an older man, but encourage him as you would a father. So even though they're not literally fathers, even him being an older man, a wiser man, treat him like you would your own father.
Rooster
treat him
did
like
not
Goose.
do that at first.
He did not. No, he did not. But then he literally treated Tom as Sorry, Tom.
Tom.
Pete
Mitchell.
Maverick, as Goose did.
I love at the end he's in Maverick's garage and he sees that Maverick had been keeping up with him his whole life. He'd been watching him.
He was moved. Well, the movie's just really good because the first thing you see with Maverick is he's working on the plane by himself. Mm-hmm. It's this great moving shot over the plane. He's just going, and you get that same shot at the end, but then Goose walks in. Sorry. Oh, in a real way, Goose walked in, but Rooster walks in. And they're working together. And it's just,
that could have been
really
interesting.
Yeah.
They get back Anthony Edwards. Maverick kind of go, huh? Is that? And then it's Rooster.
And even at the beginning, Maverick has those pictures of Rooster, but now it's not just pictures. He actually has his son.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful. And then their new memory, their new iconic picture, that that iconic shot of Iceman and Tom.
Right.
Now that's Rooster and Maverick. And it's that's the corner myth, the center myth of his worldview.
So what's Top Gun? What will Top Gun 3 be?
I don't know. The little girl becomes a jet fighter pilot. I don't know.
I also, on the topic you brought up, 1 Timothy, I think that there's this awesome picture of Paul and Timothy. You know, you have the mentor, you have the student.
Oh, yeah.
Paul is teaching and encouraging Timothy on how to live this out and how to do it. So there's a beautiful picture that I think all of us can learn from. Of all of us need a Paul in our lives. All of us need someone that we're teaching and bringing up, and someone that's leading us. And I think Maverick really learns that of like, I can't just always be in the cockpit. I have to pass this on.
Yeah.
This is something that can't end with me. I have to protect and bring up and love the next generation. And there's a third element too that I thought was awesome, where there's Paul and there's Timothy, but I think there's also Barnabas in this movie. I think Hondo is always, because Barnabas literally means son of encouragement.
Okay.
And everywhere, at the very beginning of Paul's ministry, in Acts 9:26-28, it says, when he came to Jerusalem, he tried to join the disciples, but they were all afraid of him, not believing he was really a disciple. But Barnabas took him and brought him to the apostles. And he told them how Saul on his journey had seen the Lord, and that the Lord had spoken to him, and how in Damascus he preached in the name of Jesus. So Saul stayed with them. And Hondo just like, doesn't matter if he's a Top Gun, doesn't matter if he's Black Star. Hondo's like the guy that's always by your side. Every time you go in the cockpit, Hondo's there.
I definitely did not know why he was there at first at Top Gun, and I went, it doesn't matter. It's just awesome.
It doesn't matter. It is awesome.
There's no scene dedicated to like, he's transferring with him. It didn't matter.
He gets one of the best shots in the movie when at the end when he just raises his head. It's like, I believe now. I believe in Jesus now.
This is awesome.
I think that's when they get in the F-14s or something.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
I think that's what it is.
That's awesome.
And Hondo also gets that shot in the beach football scene. One time, like, Hondo's the referee, but then he catches it, and everyone's like, he's just the life of the party that always is going to stick by you. No matter if you get fired, if you, like, he's going to be by your side, even at the cost of himself.
Good brother.
Yeah. He's a brother. He's Barnabas.
Well, there's this great moment where he's saying goodbye to Maverick on the carrier. And when I saw that scene, I went, oh, Tom Cruise is going to die. So it's just...
They want you to think that.
They used him very effectively. I was very impressed. But yep. Good stuff. Any more Bible?
One that is a very strange application, but just came to mind. At the very end, the movie has such great tension where you'll have this impossible situation. There's no way they can survive. They survive it. But then it gets worse again. And then they survive it. They cannot catch a break.
Yeah.
But somehow they always survive. And it just made me think in the theater, like, why would God bring them this far? Just to have, they exhaust every flare, they take out 6 guys, and then the last guy just gets them. And it reminds me, I was reading Numbers recently. And
You're praying to God during the movie.
And in Numbers...
Tom Cruise survive, please!
In Numbers 14:2-3, the Israelites have just been let out of Egypt. They've been let out of the wilderness. God's provided every step of the way. And then they start complaining, and they want to overthrow Moses, because they're like... The whole assembly said, if only we had died in Egypt, why is the Lord bringing us to this land only to let us fall by the sword? And of course, God was never going to let that happen. But they didn't have the faith that
they didn't believe.
He saw us through this far, he's going to keep seeing us through. It's like at the very end when Hangman just comes and saves the day, they had exhausted everything.
Is your savior speaking?
Yeah, that's right. That's so funny.
It's like...
And it's Han Solo.
Yep, exactly.
Good point.
It's true. Wow. It's A New Hope.
You guys noticed that, right?
I wouldn't have said Han Solo, but I knew it deep down.
You knew you'd seen it before.
Yeah.
But
you always have these really cool Old Testament ones.
Yeah. It's just this awesome impossible rescue after impossible rescue, and there's some psalms that point to that.
Oh yeah.
You surround your favor with them like a shield, or in Psalm 68:20 it says, God is to us a God of deliverances, and to God the Lord belong escapes from death. So they had some death escapes happening.
Awesome.
Do you remember what Maverick's going through at that moment? I think he says, I'm sorry.
Oh, he thinks they're gonna die.
He says, I'm sorry. God said, that's what I wanted to
That's
hear.
what I need to hear, boy.
Here's you from 20 years ago.
Coming to save you.
I think before we leave Bible, the other big thing I want to talk about is the team. Because we've talked about a ton about Maverick and Rooster and Goose, but there's also another family that forms within the team. And you see that in the beach section, and also just throughout the training montage. They were just the best of the best. They're just pawns. They're just fighter pilots. But over and over, Maverick keeps bringing up this very biblical idea of the value of life. That, like, these are not just people in jets who are going to get blown up for the greater good. They need to come home to their families. They need to come home to their kids. These are people made in the image of God. And after it happened to Goose, he's like, them coming home is part of the mission.
Yeah.
And
John Hamm, they knew the risks.
And in doing that and reaffirming, like, these people's lives matter and we're going to see them home, he creates a family among all the pilots. And it just reminds me of all these verses about just, like, camaraderie and where 2 or 3 gather in my name, I'm with them. A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for a time of adversity.
Oh, that's cool.
I long to see you that I may impart spiritual gifts to make you strong, that you and I may be mutually encouraged by each other's faith. You're better together, over and over. And God put the lonely in families with Maverick, but he did with that team too. Something special formed.
Awesome.
Where even Hangman's like, I'm going to humble myself to not go on the mission and still want to save you because you're my brother.
Wow, it's not really in the first one, is it? And you have to get. You don't really get the family thing until maybe.
You can be my wingman anytime.
Yeah,
that's the end. It's more focused on Maverick.
But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not grow faint.
That reminds me of this somewhat relevant verse in 2 Corinthians, where Paul is talking about how he's working up to where he's going to ask for money, but he has this interesting line where he says, you know, you, the Church of Corinth, have been blessed financially so that you can serve Jerusalem. Jerusalem has been blessed in this other way so that there may be fairness. It's like, I've given you this, I've given you over here this so that you can come together. Sounds similar to what you're talking about.
Yeah, everybody's got their own gift.
They're giving you the radar controls.
Right.
You are the flyer, you're the leader.
Right.
All the different parts of the body.
So that there may be fairness, is how Paul puts it.
Interesting.
I think my final verse, unless we have any other thoughts from that, is Galatians 6:2, where it says, carry each other's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ.
Cool.
Just epic. Like, this is a film about people that learn how to be brothers, learn how to carry each other's burdens.
Except for those poor, faceless foreigners who were destroyed.
They're destroyed. Mercilessly.
I was impressed, though, because in this film, there's like... They talk about the value of life a ton, but then you're just going to shoot down the enemy. But most of the enemies eject. It's a movie where even in the action, even in the dogfights, nearly everyone lives.
Iceman's the only dead one.
Whoa. That's okay. He lived his life.
He did. He's good.
That's good.
That's awesome. Get up to it. All right, call sign, not Bible Nathan. There was no not Bible here. I had to really stretch.
I didn't have any.
Bible coming in.
I didn't think of any.
Well,
I didn't think too hard.
You like creativity. You got any? What you got?
I have nitpicky ones because I think this film is deeply spiritual.
I know where it's
deeply
going.
true.
I know where it's going. It involves pain, doesn't it?
Pain?
Penny.
It does involve pain.
Okay.
It pained me.
So
yeah, Penny.
So as I mentioned in the Rocky episode, there is a possible inference to premarital sex, but honestly, he's shirtless, but they're just talking and snuggling, and it's so wholesome, and I don't even know if they did anything.
I'm with you, because it's referencing the scene in the first film where they have
relations.
Just this, they have carnal knowledge of each other. But it's this kind of famous, weird hilarious, infamous sex scene in the original Top Gun where it's all silhouetted and it looks like a commercial and they're like licking each other. The tongues are silhouetted. So it's like, I don't know.
This one was so wholesome.
Yes, it was definitely trying to show that this character has matured a lot.
Yeah, this is a loving relationship, whether something happened or not. They don't show that at all.
They don't.
If they're talking,
Right.
it's loving.
Something happened.
So that's kind of a
I don't know.
nitpick.
I'm with Nathan. I think they may have just made out.
No. You don't understand.
I
Remember
think
clearly.
I think Nathan and I understand quite well.
Remember quite clearly the shot of her with like 0.8 depth of field, where it's just her eyes. She just goes. Anyway, I'm just.
I did. No, I remember. Yeah.
Just saying.
Just,
anyway,
it doesn't
That
mean...
is, you know,
You shouldn't kiss someone you got married to anyway.
Well, that's true.
like it's shown to be very beautiful and does glorify it, but it might not be glorifying the carnal thing because they don't show the carnal thing.
Yeah.
So it might not
Which
even
is good.
happen.
I think it's a
awesome.
sweet elderly person.
Yes. We don't want to see old people do it.
What I wrote down was relationship with Penny is less than ideal, but he is conforming.
And he is committing.
Yeah.
At
Committing
some
and
level.
conforming.
Yeah. Hey, Jesus is gonna meet you where you are.
I love, and I even think that there's some biblical element to just how much Maverick is never willing to give up on his people. That he always perseveres to go and find the wingman and never give up on them. But he also does break the rules a lot. So even though you root for him and you think there's good reasons...
But isn't that the law of the Pharisees?
Sure. And like again, I think there's maybe a biblical argument of like...
What is it called? The hard deck.
The hard
hard
deck.
deck is a Pharisaical law.
No, the hard deck is there for your protection.
So like...
There's that great scene where he says, "What's this? What's this in writing? It's an application to lower the hard deck."
That's incredible. It's just the timing's so good. Wow.
Yeah, it's like I think that everyone watching the movies on Maverick's side, he wants to save their life. He risks his career to disobey to show that the mission can be flown. There's heroism in it. There's perseverance in it.
But he did
also
not honor the Emperor.
He is disregarding the authorities in ways we might root for, but that's not entirely biblical.
It's a tricky one, especially as Americans.
Yeah.
You know, there's that verse in 1 Peter that says, "Yeah, fear God, honor the emperor." But then it also seems to be predicated on, you know, the government actually working and being good. So, I don't know. But I guess you in the film, it's not like we ever see that the Navy is so radically incompetent that, you know, people are dying left and right or anything like that. So, yeah.
Well, John Hamm wants them all to die, basically. So
he didn't say that.
He said they knew the risks. We'll have them fly above the turrets at
That'll be fine.
a slower speed. The only one I had, I don't even know what I think about this, but I had to really search for it, was it's really cool that Tom Cruise and Rooster don't die. That's really cool. But at a certain point...
What they should have.
The Christ figure, he did die. He did lay down his life. He was dead for 3 days and he was risen again.
The Christ figure?
Yeah. Obi-Wan dies in A New Hope.
There's a lot of self-sacrifice,
Yes.
but no death.
Merely a figure is what you're saying?
No. No. Obi-Wan dies. A death. That is I mean, Christ died. That is the core part of our religion. Anyway, that is the animating truth. Calvary is the animating truth and reality of our religion. And it was like Tom Cruise got up on the cross and went, "Oh, I'm good.
I'm good.
I got a little cook, but I'm all right." You know?
No, I'm with you. I'm with you, but his plane does get blown up.
It does.
He gets
The theme is still there.
He gets stuck in the
It's
snow.
all still there.
He almost gets shot by the helicopter.
And look, the happy ending.
the dude in the helicopter died. That dude died.
Oh, yeah, that guy's gone.
Rooster destroyed that man.
Look, Garden of Gethsemane, he asked for the cup to be taken away from him. And
He
this
does.
time it did. So
Yeah,
there you go.
All right.
Anyway,
To live another day.
Exactly. But the happy
Fight
ending
another
in
fight.
itself.
You want to see them together.
Yeah, the happy ending of itself is a good too. So it is very nitpicky. This film is very
Tom
So
Cruise,
good.
he went through a spiritual death.
Scientology.
No, I mean Maverick.
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
Maverick went through a spiritual death.
Okay, yeah.
Maverick does.
Gotcha. Cool.
Tom Cruise, maybe, hopefully.
One day, please.
This verse is simultaneously Bible and not Bible, because I kind of forgot to bring it up earlier. But there's this really cool theme of like, you don't want to trust in systems, you don't want to trust in machines, you want to trust in people, you want to trust in relationships and the pilot in the box, which I think is a really positive thing. But in 1 Corinthians 2:5 it says that your faith might not rest in the wisdom of men, but in the power of God. So we talked about like the faith, the letting go. So it ultimately gets there, there is this kind of thing of like, you know, we're trusting in man's abilities, but also there's this idea of that verse meaning like we're not going to put our faith in machines that man built. We're going to have faith in the higher power that we as people can tap into.
I almost wish the movie had gone more into the drone stuff to explore that. It was
almost like there's a scene where when Iceman dies, and Harris walks in with his cane. He goes, "Now it's my turn to run the mission." And then these 8 drones fly behind him, and they're all red and sparkly. And they go, "Execute Order 77." And they fly around.
It's like the Iron Man 2, like war machines, like all those suits.
That'd be awesome.
But it goes horribly wrong, obviously.
Yeah. Oh, we'll have to.
That'd be cool. Maybe that's the next movie. Is
Ooh, and then the drones
Top Gun
form
3
a
is
mech.
about the drones.
Yeah.
Maybe.
The drones form a mech around.
There's
There's a huge boss fight.
We don't need a Top Gun 3.
They form Voltron.
Ooh, there's a huge Gundam. And Harris goes, "Argh!" And those jets have to like fly around it.
We don't need that.
And they attach
We're
the tow
good.
cable and they wrap it around his feet.
Remember how we opened? We said it was nice to have a sequel that was just nice and
But the next
good.
one could be overly complex and ridiculous. It's gonna be great.
It's anime as well.
It's like the Matrix sequels. Anyway, all good.
Amazing. There's barely any not Bible. This movie's so good.
Yep.
It
So
is
really, you should
so
get off the
good.
podcast. Not about get away.
I'll see you next time
you
on
go.
Not Bible Nathan.
The podcast needs Not Bible Nathan.
Needs him.
The kid needs Not Bible Nathan.
All right, application.
Let's go.
Don't give up on people, like Rooster. Have faith in Rooster. Have faith in people. Have faith that this person that's not where you want him to be, shouldn't be. You having faith in that person will change over time.
No one's ever really gone.
But that's a big part of Maverick. Rooster's not the man he needs to be because Maverick could not see him as the man he needs to be. You know, like what if Viper and Iceman did not see the better pilot that Pete Mitchell could become? You know, he would not have been that.
Pete Mitchell wouldn't have died, so that
Pete Mitchell
Maverick couldn't have lived.
You mean Pete Mitchell Sr.?
I'm gonna stop talking.
Okay.
Thank you. Please add that out. Goodbye.
Yeah, you gotta have faith in people, especially the younger generation.
Yeah, that's awesome. Absolutely. What
Reagan?
you got? Oh, me?
Yeah, Reagan.
Thank you. What an honor. It's really simple. Is how much in our prayer life, in our conception of God, do we really see Him as a Father? I was thinking of this verse in Matthew 7. If you then, he's talking about mankind. If you then, who are evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father who's in heaven give good things to those who ask Him? I think prayer often for a lot
When
of us.
asked for an egg, would you give him a scorpion?
Scorpion. Exactly. My dad wouldn't do that.
Nightmare Before Christmas. Here's your scorpion.
But it's just. I think prayer sometimes for a lot of people can feel distant. You feel like you're just talking to the sky. And I'm blessed to have a relationship with my father, and he really gave me a model for what is it like to look up to somebody who's spiritually strong. And literally, do I talk to God as I would my father? And do I have that intimacy? And do I ask him for things? And do I, even the Lord's Prayer, our Father in heaven. Just that relationship is so core to the Christian's life. And how often are we in our prayers opening with that, thinking about that? And
For Paul to say that's the evidence of the Spirit.
yeah, so I think that's a pretty core message of the movie too. So
Now, what about when you brought the latest Lego catalog to your dad and you said, Father,
time to buy.
New
New Bionicles came out. I have this memory of my dad. It's at the time I was mad at him, but now I respect it. I just remember me and Brian was actually having. He said, "Reagan, you've looked long enough at the Bionicles. We're leaving now." And at the time I was reading that, but now I go, "What a man!"
What was it in a store?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I guess I should set that up more. But yes, looked long enough at the Bionicles.
No, it's your own Bionicles.
Now I'm sure in his head you're saying they're all the same. There's different colors. Just choose one. But anyway, good.
I'm sure you're saying.
Anyway,
That's awesome.
yeah.
I think my application is really focused on Maverick's evolution as a teacher. Because there's that moment where he's just like, all I know is being a pilot. This is not just what I do, it's who I am. And he's put this label on himself. But Iceman or God or whatever you want to call it, it's calling him to do something else.
call him God.
And he learns to love it, right? I mean,
Yeah.
he really cares about those students, and he does make them better.
He's good at it.
He's good at it. He was suited
They like
for
him
it.
too. He's a legend in their eyes. Let the legend come back to life.
And I think there's just a lesson all of us can learn there about, in the first movie, he's making all these mistakes. He's the hot shot, and now he's learned and grown, and now he has to pass that on. Mm-hmm. And there's a really great image that I love of this picture where you have the Dead Sea, no life in it. All the fish, all the animals, just gone. And then you have the Sea of Galilee, and it's teeming with life and color, but they're actually fueled by the same source. The Jordan River flows into both, but one's dead and one's living. But the only difference is the Dead Sea has no outlet. It just gets stuck there, and it evaporates, and the salt content gets so high that nothing can live. But the Sea of Galilee is teeming with life because what flows in flows out. So it's like God, grows us and equips us, and we need to spiritually grow ourselves. But once I've grown, I can't selfishly just keep that. I have to take what I'm learning and have a Timothy under me that I'm pouring into. And a Barnabas beside me encouraging me. And I need a Paul in my life teaching me to be better so I can teach others better. But everybody needs, life is about receiving and giving, and we need both.
Yeah.
That's
Well
cool.
said. Well said.
Because the Dead Sea, that's like sort of the narcissistic, not the mentor Maverick, keeping everything to myself, not passing things on.
Like, I'm a great pilot,
Right.
and that's where it ends. I'm great, and I'm not concerned with making other people great, because this is who I am, and I've got it. But then he learns, like, how much better is life when you have a child, when you have a wife, when you have this team and that family that you can pour into and enrich their lives and make them better.
Listen to this. You just made me think of this, but this verse in Ecclesiastes, all streams flow into the sea, yet the sea is never full. That's interesting. I don't know what it means.
Always more.
but it made me think. What did you say, Nathan?
I said there's always more to learn.
Yeah.
I love that scene at the very beginning when he starts training them. And he starts doing all these crazy maneuvers. And they're like, what are you doing? And he's like, they've been told their whole lives they're the best of the best.
So he throws away the book at the very beginning.
Yep.
Throw away the Bible?
Throw away the Bible.
Nope. Not Bible. But, he's
awesome.
like, I needed to teach these people that have always believed they were the top of the heap, that there's always more to learn.
What's the name of the girl?
Phoenix?
Phoenix. At the very beginning, it's in the trailer. They're like, "We're the best of the best. Who are they going to get to teach us?" That's their mentality.
pride.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're taught some humility of, I have something to learn, and now I have open hands to receive and be made better by this person that knows more than me. And God always has more to show us.
That would have been an interesting extra sort of theme to go into, is sort of the coddled generation. Like this, a generation that's grown up just so... I mean, we're a pretty fat, comfortable generation.
Yeah.
And the things we have. And Tom Cruise is going, they've never even been in war. They don't know anything.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in the subtext, but it would have been interesting to see if that were more of the story.
Because they talk about the fact that Hangman's like, I took down like a couple people, confirmed kills. They're like, their planes were from the Korean War. Like, we're at peacetime. You've never seen real action. And Maverick's like, they look at him and it's like, oh, he's been with people that died. He's fought real battles. He hasn't just stayed up there and dropped a bomb from afar.
Right.
He's been in it.
Right.
And none of them have ever seen that.
Yeah.
Right. Just still good. Still really good. Just curious what more they could have done with it.
Totally.
There's always Top Gun 3, though.
Top Gun 3, Voltron, Ed Harris.
Not that. Not that, please.
Not the Bible.
Yeah, Voltron's not in the Bible.
I would probably do a sequel set 200 years in the future. It's just...
That was Space Jam.
1,000 years. 10,000 years.
Phoenix is the main character, and she is the matriarch of a new world. And she goes, Maverick must come back.
Oh, that's good. Wow.
And like this ice chest.
This movie was awesome.
Yeah.
It was so good, filled with so much truth. It's incredibly shot, incredibly acted. I could not have asked for more. I was blown away.
And then this movie's kind of bringing people together, too. It's good. Yeah. Like we said earlier, we don't know anybody who's disliked this film. I haven't met a single person. I mean, I've seen
Some
maybe
trolls online.
some troll. Yeah. I saw this
Too
incredible.
patriotic.
I saw this incredible online review that said this was just a giant piece of,
Military propaganda.
military propaganda, and it was all nonsense. But I did enjoy reading it. It was fun. So they get points for creativity. But no, I mean, people are really enjoying this movie. It's nice to have just after a bunch of divisive movies and a couple summers of no movies. It is great just to have a win.
Oh, yeah.
This is just a good movie. You could recommend anybody.
Would you like to end about a verse about unity?
Sure.
Yes.
Unity. So in 1 Corinthians 1:10 it says, I appeal to you, brothers and sisters, in the name of our Lord Christ Jesus, that all of you agree with one another in what you say, and that there be no divisions among you, and that you be perfectly united in mind and thought. And then in Romans 12:5 it says, so in Christ we, though many, form one body, and each member belongs to all the others. And that's like the team that formed. They became one. And as iron sharpens iron, they sharpened each other and made an incredible mission that was impossible. And it came to be because of our Lord Jesus and the Word.
I'm pointing you guys out.
And now we just need to pray for Tom Cruise.
Yes. Yes. Well, we'll pray for him. May the force be with you.
Oh!
Don't think, just do.
Alright.
Listen to the next episode. Don't think, just do it.
Do it now.
Hold my hand, everything will be okay. I heard from the heavens that clouds have been gray. Pull me close, wrap me in your aching arms. I see that you're hurting, why'd you take so long?